Great leaders don't just adapt, they anticipate. And when we look at what we do here in insurance, a lot of need for smart analysis, smart decisioning, for us to be able to provide solutions that are data-led and insight-led. AI provides that opportunity for us. So my encouragement to you and my challenge to all of us is that we move beyond adapting to truly anticipating what tomorrow holds for us.
Could you describe the current level of AI adoption within the Kenyan insurance industry?
AI adoption in the Kenyan insurance industry is in the early and quite promising stages. A lot of exploration as to what we could use AI for. A few players here and there have begun some form of adoption in one form or the other, but not fully fledged quite yet. So I'd say AI in Kenya is still early in terms of trying to identify the use cases for it. For us here at Jubilee, of course, moving on into areas like claims adjudication, fraud, because as you know, health insurance has significant challenges with fraud, as well as customer experience in terms of how we serve. So for the industry, early, promising in terms of how we are using it, but definitely we expect to see a lot more traction in the coming years.
What were Jubilee Health Insurance's initial drivers for AI adoption, and what challenges did they aim to solve?
One of the challenges that we hope to address with the use of AI is the issue of, first and foremost, an evolving customer. There's a lot of customers today require more personalized solutions, and as you know, to be able to give a customer a customized solution, you then need to do a lot of analysis and then be able to understand the customer a lot more. So the evolving customer has definitely been one strong trigger for the move to AI. The other one, as we've said, health insurance has a major issue with fraud, waste and abuse. In fact, it is often estimated to be about 30% of the total claims cost, which is quite significant. And within the Kenyan industry, one of the biggest challenges we have is majority of the players are loss-making. Not because we want to keep charging more premium, but because fraud, waste and abuse is significant. So we definitely want to be able to identify these cases a lot earlier, and AI provides an opportunity for us to do that. The third thing would be becoming more efficient. Of course, technology has been a big conversation, a big buzzword over the last decade or so. But a lot of us have adopted technology, and for us at Jubilee, we also want to be able to leverage on this technology a lot more. So we say, instead of identifying or recruiting 10, 20 claims adjudicators to look at claims, to what extent can we leverage on technology to help us do that? And we have seen AI be able to do that in terms of, as it lands, it begins to pick on patterns, it's able to be more responsive.
What type of AI technologies are proving to be the most impactful in your operations?
Today, health insurers use machine learning, of course, because we are risk managers. That is what we do. So we see a lot of use cases for it. And more interestingly, even as we pick up fraud trends, we're able to go back and be able to feed in these trends, and you then can see the solutions are able to pick on trends and flag them a lot earlier. You're almost even able to predict customers who are more likely to do one thing or the other. But again, going back to machine learning, we are having a lot of conversations on moving from curative to preventative care. Are we more likely to identify a customer who's more likely to end up with one lifestyle disease or the other? Can the disease trend point to something that we may be concerned about, that we may be able to support we may want to be able to support our customers with? So machine learning is definitely a big conversation for us. On natural language processing, definitely another big use case. Health insurance is very high touch. Customers will be in hospital for one reason or the other, and they want to be able to engage with you, and it provides an opportunity for us to do that. We are using it quite actively with our chatbots and to engage our customers, but I must say without losing the human touch, because health insurance, again, still emotive. You will still need to speak to a human being, but it does help us to a large extent. The other part is you spoke to it, is the issue of picking up. We receive a lot of paper invoices, paper documentation for those providers who are still yet to adopt technology, and we'd like to be able to leverage on it to be able to do to be able to pick up this information for us and be able to convert it to usable formats that can be processed through our systems.
From a customer perspective, what tangible benefits does AI bring to policyholders in Kenya?
When it comes to customer experience, again, for us, the one thing that's unique to health insurers is our customers choose to do business with us annually. Remember, an insurance policy is only 1 year. So customer experience is very critical. And unlike other classes of insurance, in this instance, you are ideally going to serve that customer anywhere between 2 to 10 times a year, because they will be unwell, their child might be unwell, and they'll have to end up in a hospital. So for us, the issue of customer experience really, and in most cases, if you think about it, we will onboard you with a policy, but you will be served outside our systems. You'll be in a hospital, we may not have as much control of that process and so on. You may have to go into a lab. The experience you have there may not be ours, but we are responsible in some sense if you end up in a pharmacy and so on. So today we use AI for a couple of reasons. The first one is, of course, faster turnaround in claims. You want to settle with the providers much earlier or on time. Now, for health insurance, typically we do not pay the customer. The customer goes in with a card, accesses credit facilities, and we then have to be able to pay this provider on time. Today as Jubilee, we are able to pay providers for even as early as 21 to 30 days. And that is literally almost cash terms, because when we discuss credit, we're probably discussing 90 days plus, but we're able to do that for them, and we've seen quite some great engagements there, because most of these providers are then able to have good working capital as a result of working with Jubilee. So the customer is then able to have a faster turnaround time in terms of the settlement to the provider, and therefore the provider then is able to serve them properly. That is the first thing. The second thing is health insurance really, as you've said, has a major issue with fraud, waste and abuse. With AI, we are able to adjudicate every single claim down to the most identifiable unit. We can identify the bag the medicine is packed in. If they were in for inpatient, I can tell you how much they spent on the gloves and so on. Why is this important? Because all of these costs end up as claims in the customer's bill. And therefore, when they come in for renewal and in future, it has an impact on the cost of the insurance. If they end up with billings that are excessive, in some cases that are not theirs, then you find at renewal they're paying higher and higher premium, which is not justified. So we spend a lot of time adjudicating the claims, and the AI is great for that, because in a matter of milliseconds you're able to tell what should be billed or otherwise. We're also able to do comparisons with ICD-10, ICD-11 that give guidelines on treatment protocols, and we're able to see what is excessive, what is not, generally in a matter of milliseconds, and be able to identify trends that helps the cover remain affordable for that consumer. That thing, as we've said, is around really ensuring that we're giving this customer value-based care. We are increasingly moving from what we call fee-for-service, where we are really remunerating or paying the hospital because of the number of times you visited, but we are increasingly now saying, is the client getting better? Is the patient getting better? That is a big conversation for us, because ours is about making sure that the customer has affordable and quality healthcare, the emphasis on quality. So value-based care is about us being able to know, are you getting better? How frequently are you going to the hospital? What are we treating for? And what are those things we're able to see? And AI is able to help us analyze that quite well. The fourth use case, of course, is around what we call prevention and preventive care. And even for those who are already unwell, what we call lifestyle disease management, where we have programs that work with people who already have cases of diabetes, hypertension, all of these cases, and be able to help them improve their outcomes in terms of, even if you're a diabetic, that you're not always getting admitted, always ending up on the extreme end in terms of being unwell. So a lot of great use cases for the customer. So the insurance is not just about you have a card, you went to hospital, you got treated, but we are actually able to make it more cost effective, improve your outcomes in terms of you actually getting better, remove waste, so that then you're not having to pay for things you didn't have to pay for, and keep it a lot more affordable and sustainable for you.
How is AI reshaping the roles of Kenyan insurance agents and brokers? Is it enhancing their abilities or changing their core responsibilities?
The role of intermediation is one we often, that's often a very robust conversation. Is technology going to replace agents? Is AI going to replace brokers and so on? Our view is there's a role for everyone, and I think we continue to see that, because there's something that plays into the Kenyan environment quite literally. Is one, the fact that Kenyans are very relational, that they will come, research, find out about the product, identify the best fit for them, and go and buy it from an agent who's their cousin or their nephew and so on. So we still see what we call phygital playing out quite a bit, that they will use the tools that you have that are AI integrated to do their research and still go from and buy from someone that they typically would buy from. What we use technology to do and AI to do is identify all the information touch points we have from the client and synthesize this to be able to give them the most the product that best fits their circumstances. So it helps us more in terms of helping the advisor or whoever is supporting the client to identify the best solution, and that then removes non-value adding work for them. Then it focuses more on them guiding the customer on the best solution, already somewhat pre-selected using some information data points, and then they can choose the best product. And then today, again, as you know, then they're able to onboard the customer online and through a digital tool, and that makes it a lot easier. So I think that today, as the market is, a lot of relationship conversations still exist. So technology and AI play one role. They make the journey easier, and we think that that's important. But we still find the client still will rely on an intermediary to purchase. That said, we also are beginning to see a newer trend where, with the digital natives, as we call them, as we begin to see more Gen Z, when they're looking for product, they're probably not looking for someone they know or someone who's relational. They really just want to be able to find it, be able to narrow down on what they want and be able to purchase anyway. So some interplay there, one tied more to generation, another one, we're beginning to see that switch where we still have a role for intermediaries, especially for products that are very complex, but then for products that are a lot simpler, you see clients being able to buy online. So I wouldn't say that intermediation is going to disappear. I think it still continues to have its place in terms of reducing complexity and so on, but I think it's going to change in a way or form, and AI really will definitely support the client identifying the best solution for them, as helping us even in targeting the client a lot more efficiently and so on. But both today still have a strong use case.
What are some of the challenges you've encountered while implementing AI solutions in the Kenyan context?
A couple of challenges when it comes to leveraging on AI in the local context. One of those would be data limitations. Of course, we all speak about data, but when you look at how we have stored data over time, at times it's quite untidy, and then we are forced to do a lot of cleanup just to be able to get coherent data that can speak. For example, you will find that you will have an ID, and when I look at your name on the ID and on your KRA pin, probably looks at two different people, no one name is missing. So a lot of aspects on data limitation in terms of the cleanliness of that data, and we then invest a lot of time cleaning up a lot of this legacy data so that it's then able to be used for the purpose that it's intended for. The other thing would be the whole aspect of the unregulation, regulation around it. Again, these are models learning from people, and the issue is how much do they know, how much are they exposed to, how much bias may they have, to what extent may they have an understanding of your context and so on. And I think this continues to be one of the reasons why adoption is gradual, because we want to be able to make sure that we manage them. We keep doing parallel tests to make sure that the outcomes are consistent. The other thing would be, of course, the issue of talent. Of course, as a new area, AI is big conversation, but how many people really do know how to use it and use cases for it, that we continue to see. People coming up, but talent is still a big conversation. And the last thing for me is, of course, the issue of the maturity of these AI systems. Whenever we are coming, generally AI, big buzzword, you have open AIs that you can plug in, but how many can genuinely be used, say, by a health insurer, while still ensuring that our data is safe?
How is Jubilee Health Insurance addressing ethical considerations and potential biases from AI in insurance processes like underwriting or claims assessment?
What we do here at Jubilee is we make sure that even as we adopt these models, we always make sure that we apply a human-first lens, in that a lot of the outcomes go through a lot of quality assurance in terms of there's QA, there's human QA to be able to check samples and see, are we seeing the same outcomes, what are we seeing, and are they consistent with what would have happened. They have their pros in that. When you're working with a normal claims adjudicator, incidentally, one claims adjudicator may have a different view of the same matter from another one. But when you're using AI, you have this, you manage the variables there. So we use a human-first lens when we're looking at the decisions the system has made, and we leverage on the fact that we have people who are already quite experienced in doing this. But also the other thing for us is about creating models that that avoid this bias. So it's easy, I think, with AI, for as long as it has consistent quality assurance, you're also able to flag bias quite a bit. I find that with experience, you teach AI to do for you what you need it more for. So you get it in its format, there's what it already knows to do, but the more it interacts with your environment, then it begins to apply what you teach it to do. But QA remains a very, very critical area to manage. In addition to that, AI systems have to be trained based on diverse data sets, just to make sure that they don't give a skewed outcome. So that remains critical in terms of making sure that these models really are not biased.
What role do you see AI playing in the long-term strategy of Jubilee Health Insurance and the broader Kenyan market?
AI is going to, without a doubt, become a critical differentiator, and its adoption more specifically. As you said, today the Kenyan consumer, or the consumer in general, is more discerning. They do not want a one-size-fits-all. They do not want to pick something off the shelf. AI presents an opportunity for personalization. And it's personalization not just on the product they're consuming, but even on how they will consume it, and how you are able to engage the customer through it. So AI will definitely play a critical role in providing that opportunity for personalization. The other area that I think AI will be very critical is around efficiency and being able to identify areas to become more efficient, because over time organizations do need to become more efficient. We are finding organizations wanting to be leaner, so that then they can be able to provide value. So AI will present opportunities for efficiency. I see an opportunity as well where, because it is learning, it consolidates a lot of great learning opportunities, and you can begin to imagine the wealth of knowledge you can then create with all this, learning models, in terms of you have the best of your claim set and your best of underwriting set, but you can imagine typically have this housed in 4 or 5 people, merging those great concepts and coming up with a unique model that's specific to your organization. I think that will strengthen technical expertise across board. And the third one, of course, is about improving outcomes. Health insurance is big on outcomes. It is about ensuring that you're able to look at this client's health trends, health data, look at what you've seen within a similar demographic, look at perhaps, if you're able to see that this client keeps picking up this or that, keeps picking up, with technology and with AI, we can be able to create more predictive models that can inform either how we approach the market better, how we solution for the market better.
How is AI being practically implemented? Are companies building in-house solutions, partnering with tech firms, or using off-the-shelf platforms?
Today, Jubilee uses quite a bit of AI, both one set we do create internally, because we have a J hub, we have an innovation hub internally, so there's quite a bit of development that goes on internally, but we also partner with other third-party providers to be able to provide this, whether it's claims adjudication, there are partners we work with, and again, it's down to, as I've said, you find they will have unique skill sets. There are those who are great for one type of adjudication or the other, and their rules engine and how you configure your solution then will be more suitable for one thing or the other. Whatever we cannot get off the shelf, in the most instances, we'll attempt to design internally where we have the capability, where we think there's an opportunity to tweak as well. But as I've said, even for those we get from third-party providers, we often will rarely consume them as they are. There's still a lot of, again, it's learning. And it's going to learn what we do here at Jubilee. It's going to learn from our human knowledge base as well, and our experience as well. And then you find that it becomes a lot more and more uniquely Jubilee in terms of either how we serve or how we want to work.
What is the role of government or regulatory bodies in shaping AI development within financial services, including insurance, and what specific policies or guidelines exist or are being considered?
AI, like any innovation, will require some form of guardrails. I think when we look at what AI does today, it almost, as we are excited about it, I think there's almost a terrifying aspect of it in terms of what it can do. And therefore, there's definitely a need for guardrails. What we see the regulator has done is taken an approach to understand the possible use cases that we want to use it for. Today, they are working with us to be able to understand this is what we're using for and using it for, and the likely exposures thereof. So we do expect to see regulation begin to move in this direction over time. So today, an innovative space, as I've mentioned, very early adoption for our industry, and we are getting quite a bit of support from the regulator in terms of them wanting to understand how you use it, making sure that there is no bias and it's not impacting the consumer negatively or whoever else, that data protection is in place and you're making sure that you're not, your data is not unnecessarily exposed and so on. So today, we definitely expect to see some guardrails at some point. Of course, our hope is always that it doesn't stifle innovation, but we are conscious that without a doubt there will be this is increasingly an area that will see regulation, more deliberate, more enhanced regulation in one form or the other.